On a previous video, I showed you how I made a route in MyDrive app and then saved it, and it wirelessly went over to my TomTom 550. What happens when it gets to the TomTom 550 is it ends up being a track, and all my waypoints that I had in MyDrive app are lost. But that's for a reason. It's a GPX file and it's a track. The track has a beginning and an end, but it doesn't have any stops. The TomTom has a fixed map dependent path between these 2 points, the start and the end, and your device sticks to this fixed path as much as possible. So the Sat Nav tries to follow that path. So it's not trying to do any calculations in between where your original waypoints were. It's just trying to get you to follow that line, that path on your Sat Nav. So that's a track. Now, if you want a route and you want to keep your waypoints, you can't transfer that to the TomTom 550 wirelessly. But what you can do is in your program, and I'm using MyDrive app, but you could be using all sorts of apps. It doesn't matter what you use, whatever your favorite is. I could save my file as an ITN file, which is a native file that TomTom use, save it then to an SD card and put that SD card in my Sat Nav and import the route into my TomTom. That way I now get a route. Now a route is different from a track though. It has a beginning and an end, and optionally stops in between. So those optional stops are all my waypoints that I put in my route app. So the TomTom 550 calculates your preferred type of path, be it windy, shortest distance, non-motorway, whatever it may be, between those points. So it is actually calculating from one flag to the next flag to the next flag. So if you deviate off that route, it will recorrect you back onto the route to try and take you to the next flag. There are some differences the way the TomTom handles these though. But first let's have a look at how we get a route over onto a TomTom 550 rather than a track that I did previously. Right, first things first, I need to get an SD card in my TomTom 550. What we'll be doing is saving all our routes to our SD card. So buy a little 8 or 16 gig card. Don't spend any more money than that because it won't be worth it. Make sure it clicks in. That's it, you can feel the click against the spring and close it back open. Now you can either transfer files to this SD card by putting them in your PC and continually putting them in and taking them out of the 550. I wouldn't bother, leave it in the 550 and use a USB cable on this instead. So to connect to my PC, open this other waterproof door, and using the cable that your TomTom 550 came supplied with, plug it into your PC. When you plug it in, it'll power your TomTom 550 up as well. The reason you have to use the TomTom cable that it came with is that the some USB cables, micro USB cables, won't work. So you can see now it's suggesting, right, to import routes, use your computer's file browser to copy routes onto your device. So in other words, this TomTom is going to be seen now in my PC. All I have to do is those saved files that I saved from my route app, I just need to drop on that SD card. So let's have a look at that next. Okay, so here's my St. Patrick's weekend route with my waypoints. So instead of saving it to TomTom MyDrive, where it will go down as a GPX file, and the TomTom will only use the track portion of that, and not save these waypoints, I'm going to save it as an ITN route. So save file. That'll go to my default download location on my PC. There it is there now. So now what I have to do is plug in my TomTom 550 and that'll power it off. And it'll see I'm connected to my PC and it'll give me the option to import. So I'll wait for that to power up. So I'll just forward wind this part of it. Right, the 550 is powered up. Now on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, I just say import routes. And that's where it says, okay, copy your file over to your SD card. If I right mouse click on that, copy, and then look at my 550. There's my 550 and that's the storage it comes with. Below that, here's my SD card that I just fitted. So I can double click on that. right mouse click, paste, and there's my St Patrick's Weekend ITN file. When I press done on my 550, it therefore says, okay, select routes to import, click on St Patrick's Weekend, import. That's all there is to it. So, that ITM file is on the SD card inside the TomTom. So I say done, and it says select routes to import. Well, there's my St Patrick's Weekend ITN file. Select, import. Import successfully completed. So let's get the light going on that, say OK. Now if I go to My Routes, there it is, St Patrick's Weekend. Now you notice here, normally when I send a track here wirelessly, this comes up as a dotted line. It's a solid line here. That denotes that it's a route, not a track. So if I click on that, you see I've got my route, it's just loading. Includes country borders. Yep, I don't mind. Now if I expand that, you see all my flags? They're on my waypoints. Now what it'll do, it'll calculate this part now. It'll calculate flag to flag. So rather than following the track, it'll calculate getting from here to here in the normal way a Sat Nav would calculate. There are some gotchas to it though, but I'll go through those at the end. Now, get rid of that route, current route, clear route. I've just sent wirelessly my track 2 minutes ago, and there it is, it turns up there. So you notice there, that's a dotted line denoting that that is a track. So this time now, if I open a track, let it load, okay, it's loaded, ride, nearest point or, let's get that, nearest point or starting point. Now this time I can go nearest point to where I am, and you can see this is my starting point here. It's going to bring me over to the nearest point. Oops, didn't mean to do that.
You will arrive at your destination at 2:49 p.m.
So this is going to give me Sat Nav directions from where I currently am at work, and it's going to bring me across to the M50 here, around here, rather than trying to bring me all the way back to the start point. And you'll see there's no waypoints on my track, and it's just going to follow that track doggedly. That's what it's going to do. Notice when I cancelled my route, this said cancel current route. Now it says cancel current track. So it knows it's dealing with tracks and routes. Cancel current track, clear track. Menu, my routes, pick my route, solid line. Loading, loading, loading. Ride. So here's my route loaded this time, not my track. So now, if I go to the menu, current route.
You will arrive at your destination at 3:43 p.m.
No, I won't. Clear route instead of clear track. See the difference there? Oops. Clear route. Gone. So I'll just show you how TomTom deals the difference between a route and a track. So if I go menu, my routes, and I'll pick up a track. It's loading it. I'll say ride. It says ride to the nearest point or my starting point. So I'll say nearest point. And it skips off the start of my route. And if I expand on that, so instead of going to the start of my track, it's starting here and it's going to navigate.
You will arrive at your destination at 1:04 p.m.
Thank you very much, but I'm not actually going. So you see along here. Now, if I cancel that, clear that track, then menu, my routes, choose a route instead of the track, ride, let it finish its calculation. Now this time you'll notice I'm at work here, but it wants to take me to the start of the route, which is my home location on this route.
You will arrive at your destination at 2:02 p.m.
Thank you very much. Look how much longer it's going to take me, because I've got to go all the way home before I come back. So now you notice you've got extra menu items. Now we're on a route instead of a track. Current route. Look at all these extras I've got. Skip next stop, find alternative, avoid a type of road, avoid part of route, avoid a block road. So that's something you can't do on a track. And that's caught me out a few times. You get to a block road and you deviate from your track, and then the Sat Nav goes up its own hole. But so, for instance here, what I need to do is skip the next stop because I don't want to go home first. Let's go. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, what it's done, it's skipped that home stop on my route. And look, it's shortened my journey by 40 minutes. So that's the nice thing with routes. You get an awful lot more on the menus. Current route, skip stops, find alternatives, avoid a block road. So the route is a little bit more flexible than the track. You just have to manually send it over. So that's the difference between routes and tracks and how a TomTom 550 deals with it. Cheers. Right, sorry for the poor graphics on the PC screen capture with this COVID thing going around and whatnot. The kids have taken over the decent PC for gaming, and I can't get a PC with strong enough graphics to take that screenshot and present it nicely. But you get the gist anyway, so apologies for that bit. Cheers.